the gradual obliteration of the distinction between one thing and another. So, for example, the distinction between being in the church and out of the church, the distinction between true religion and false religion, the distinction between natural religion and revealed religion, the distinction between right and wrong conduct in terms of the negative precepts of the natural law, to which there are no exceptions. Now we have an ecumenism of morality, where the moral standard of the negative precept, which is an absolute, is reduced to a benchmark. And then you say, well, we're striving to achieve full communion with the natural law. But in the meantime, there are gradations of obedience to the law that we can accept. Well, that's nonsense. This is a binary proposition. Thou shalt not. Either you're in obedience to those commandments or you're not. There are no gradations of obedience. It's a strict command laid upon us by the divine law and the natural law. And John Paul II said in his encyclical on morality that there are no exceptions. They are binding, these commandments, the negative precepts, in all circumstances without exception. And this Pope has embarked on a program of saying, well, there could be exceptions depending on your concrete circumstances.
Right. Yes. Well, again, getting back to this, I sort of sympathize with his feelings, but priest up in, Wisconsin just saying this last thing, now I can declare Bergoglio is not the Pope. Again, what's the sort of legal or juridical problem with just you or me? Well, I just get to decide. I think this is enough. I mean, is that the way the church is meant to function?
You can't function that way. And what is the quantum of proof, by the way? Is it 1 supposed heresy, 2, 3, 6, 10, 12? When do you weigh in the balance and find that, well, this is the last straw of heresy, so now we declare the Pope is not the Pope? It's a useless declaration. It can't be enforced. It doesn't bind anybody but the declarant who thinks that that's the case. So what is the practical benefit of the declaration? There is no practical benefit. It's essentially a distraction, a shiny object that appeals to some people who make themselves feel better by saying, well, this man can't be the Pope. Well, what difference does it make to us, practically speaking? None. Again, the only approach we can take to a Pope like this is simply not to follow him when he errs. I mean, effectively, we're saying when he says things that depart from tradition, we're effectively saying those are not papal pronouncements. Those are his pronouncements as a person.
And that's really the root of the problem, is a distorted notion of papal authority. Because if you believe I have to, do whatever the Pope says, or if the Pope says, I think you should eat, chocolate cake for breakfast, then I just have to do it. Then you are in a bind, because you have no way out of, if he says, go commit adultery and I have to obey him, I'm going to go do it. But if you have a proper sense of obedience and what obedience means, this isn't an irresolvable problem. As you say, you don't follow him when he's saying something wrong.